Okay, hey everybody, this is Mrs. Middleton, and I'm here to tell you what we did in English 11 on August 21st. The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien, that's what we're reading. We just finished chapter 1, and chapter 1 is a lot of information. So, first of all, it starts like a little bit by, we get like this description of Jimmy Cross and how he loves Martha, but Martha doesn't really love him, and but he carries that love of Martha with him into the battlefield. This chapter is same as the title, The Things They Carried. It talks about the physical things they carried, but also the emotional things they carried. So, like Jimmy Cross, he carried his love for Martha, and that's like the big theme of this chapter. Like it always comes back to his love for Martha. It talked about how, let's see, they also talk about, they introduce all the characters like Norman Bowker, Kiowa, Ted Lavender, like I said, Jimmy Cross, Rat Kiley. He doesn't really talk about himself so much, but he talks about these guys. They talk about an individual who was killed, Lee Strunk, going into the tunnel, and like they would just like they took turns who would go into the tunnel, and it was Lee Strunk's turn, and it was a while for him to come back, and they were starting to be concerned, like was Lee Strunk, was he dead? What happened? That kind of thing. Let's see. Mitchell Sanders is another character, as is Dave Jensen. Um, they talk a lot about the different things that, like the physical things they carried. But one thing I have in my notes, like they were talking about USO stationery and pencils and pens. Well, USO is like they kind of try to provide relief for soldiers, so that's what that's about. Sterno, little cans to heat up food. You guys know what safety pins are? Trip flares, signal flares, spools of wire to detonate things, razor blades to cut things, chewing tobacco, liberated joss sticks. I have to say I don't know what that is. Stars and Stripes is the military newspaper in war zones. So let's see, they talk about carrying water, about how the supply trains would come in twice a week. See, talked about Ted Lavender getting killed and how Kiowa couldn't deal with it. He was just like dead, down, that was it. How they use different words to describe being killed. They would say greased, offed, but they never really used the word killed or murdered or shot. They just used the different words, and I think that was just a way that they could deal with the horrors of the death. Let's see. We talk about the death of Ted Lavender, and how Jimmy Cross felt like he was to blame for Ted Lavender's death, because when Ted died, he was daydreaming about Martha, and that never left him. He really felt guilty about that. So that's what we worked on with the things they carried. Tomorrow we are going to work on the quiz, but make sure that you review the chapter so that you have lots of good things to talk about.